Hi everyone, welcome to the CX conversations that we're starting today. I've got Jonathan Daniels with me today. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you, Sharon.
So Jonathan heads up a consultancy called CX Centric and also a not-for-profit CX Brussels, where you do lots of training, lots of events, all sorts of fun stuff. I've actually had the privilege of being on one of those events very recently, and I have to say, very well run, always great fun, and always really insightful. So today we're here to talk about your really exciting new book, which I have read, and I have to say, I fully recommend. It's really great. Oh yeah, here's a little show of it there. Give it a little twirl. So just tell me about that, Jonathan. How did you get started, and what was the story into writing your story?
Yeah, definitely. I decided about a year and a half ago that I wanted to write the customer experience playbook. So my background was in IT project management, and then leading a lot of agile transformations, transforming organizations to deliver their projects a lot quicker. And then I realized we were delivering quicker, but not always delivering what the customer wanted. And I thought to myself, wow, that's very important. That's a big thing to miss. And then I realized that this was sort of lacking because if you look at a lot of customer experience literature, you see a lot of information on strategy, how to do it, how to be customer centric, but there was less information on the practicalities, how to do something in real life, how can you lead a customer centric transformation. You are a chief customer officer and you get in there on day one. What are you looking out for? And what do you want to do? How do you develop your team? What team members do you want to engage? There's all these questions that I didn't see answers for. So I wanted to create a book, put all of that in there and package it so that customer experience leaders and customer experience professionals could benefit from this.
Absolutely. I really love that. And I've got screenshots of it here. Oh, you can't really see that. This one is all about the meetings that you suggest with the purpose, the frequency, the attendees. So really useful information for someone to rock up, exactly as you say, and just get started and hit the ground running. And I like all your diagrams as well. It's really easy to understand and pick up. Can you talk me through this one here? Can you see that? It's your
Ooh,
main
okay.
framework. Yeah, talk to me
Yeah,
about your CX centric framework.
yeah. So the CX centric framework, what I try to do is put everything, give it a bird's eye view, you can say. So give me 1 second, Sharon. Let me just get it on the screen.
It's page 50.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so the CX centric framework, what I wanted to do was give a real bird's eye view. So you're a chief customer experience officer or CX director. What do you do? What do you look out for? What does good look like for you actually? So you start off on the left with the inputs. This is all about having a clear strategy on the data that you have about your customers. So being clear on what you have, what data you have now, and
Mhm.
actually what data you wish to collect in the future. This is not like a one-time activity. As you know, we're in the data era. So actually, you should be growing the amount of data that you collect about your customers so that you can serve them better. And offer them unique and personalized experiences as well. So, and this is also, so it's not just about what customers are doing on on your platform, it's how they're feeling as well. So that experience element as well in this. And then we have the regular meetings, which we call events. So some meetings were inspired by business change, that sort of thing, and also from agile methodologies. And then we've adapted them to just tweak them slightly, so that it means that if you're already working in an agile way, this is easier to adapt. You can just build on top of the agile processes that you already have. And then we specify the different roles that you can have: the CX director, the CX manager, CX analyst, the culture manager as
Yeah,
well.
I like that
And
one.
Yeah, and also the CX coach, which is important, to be able to help guide organizations through. And in that, if you see on other chapters, we go into detail about these roles. We talk about the different tasks. We talk about the attributes that these guys need to have and the skills they need to have as well. And I made sure that this generally aligns with what's in the CXPA's framework as well,
Mm.
which I think is important because I really respect the CXPA and what they've done overall. So I've aligned with them and then built on top of some of their what they've got in their syllabus in that sense. And then finally, I also present uh, the outputs, which are basically documents. So I say these are the documents that I recommend, and then we go into a bit of detail in the documents, explaining why a document's needed, explaining the challenges it helps solve. But then we don't go into too much detail. For instance, on the business case, we explain what a business case is and how it works. But the thing is, because some of these documents are already widely known, there will be no point going into too much detail. So just give the right amount of information so that the reader just gets an understanding and can really just apply it. And then if they need more information, then they can look elsewhere as well.
And they know where to come. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Icon.
ICON is the four-step process for transforming organizations to become customer centric. So the I stands for initiate, C stands for co-create, O stands for operationalize, and N stands for nourish. And so this is a four-step process. And then within the book, so for instance, within the initiate, there's various different objectives, etc. And then yeah, you go through the whole process. So yeah, overall, that's Icon.
Brilliant. I really like how practical it is. You can literally just pick it up and tick bits off. Yes, I'm doing that. Yes, I still need to do that. Yes, I need to discuss with my team. And because it's kind of written like for my type of role, I really found that it resonated with me. And what I love is you've absolutely filled it with facts and figures. And then, in a true master's professional, because I know you've done a master's in project and program management, I then saw all your references at the back. Which just tick that whole structure box. Yeah, this is very credible. Look at all my references, my whole list here. And what also really made me smile was when you went back and thanked people and you said, and thank you to my mum for teaching me how to read and write. That did make me laugh. Kind of fundamental, right? We can't write this book without that. So thanks, mum.
Exactly. You remember strange things from your childhood. I remember my mom teaching me how to read. So I thought, yeah, this is an important thing because I'm now writing a book. So I appreciate that as well. I think there's quite a bit of, yeah, there's a lot of references because for the book, I wanted to take a twofold approach. So obviously the practical experience that I have, and also the experience of speaking to a lot of colleagues, even like yourself, Sharon. And then the other side was all I read a lot of academic journals. I did a lot of research myself, some interviews, etc. So it's bringing the two bits together, and I think that makes for a more sound book overall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was interested because I didn't really know what the word playbook meant. So I thought, okay, I'll have a look and see, and just found something very practical, very easy to pick up, really bite-sized chapters, lots of different voices and case studies in there, loads of figures, obviously all the references I've already talked about, but just a very, very practical book to help you deliver. And that's what we're all about, right? CX delivery and doing it the right way and helping other practitioners on their way. So yeah, I was blown away by it. So I've got it on Kindle, but I'm now going to buy it so that I can flick through and write all over it because I like doing that. I hope that's all right.
Oh no, fine. I really appreciate the kind words. I think yeah, my background is obviously in project management first, so it's all about getting things done. So the
Mm.
best way to get things done is to be really clear and concise about what you want to achieve, and then put the plan to achieve it. So I always make everything that I do as clear as possible, as simple as possible. I'm not like a great talker. If you give me a topic, I will just say what I think straight. I'm not going to go around the houses. And the same thing with the book. So I've kept it very straight to the point. And really, it's just something that someone can pick up and then just, do a gap analysis
Mm.
or just look at one chapter and say, okay, this is interesting. I need to learn a bit more about this. It's just like this. It's just like a real helping sort of guide for customer experience leaders.
Yeah, it's interesting that we've both got similar backgrounds. We're both strong in tech, both project and program management backgrounds, and now very strong in CX. I wonder how many others have taken a similar route. Um, I know that I was doing a project for the CXPA around their framework, what the future would look like. And I was hearing lots around, strategy and insights, and I didn't realize that I really brought to the table exactly that piece you just talked about, that delivery piece, the implementation, the getting it done, which I think is a really interesting element of the whole of the CXPA syllabus that you just touched on. So it's really good seeing some of that stuff come out inside your book. You mentioned earlier about agile is not enough. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, because I spent the last sort of, I mean, in terms of agile, if anyone doesn't know what it's about delivering your projects iteratively, beforehand, especially when it comes to technology projects.
Mhm.
A lot of companies, they would produce a long 3-year plan, and after the first year, they've just got through the design phase, maybe, and they're still looking for approvals, and it just takes long, and you just reporting on documents, whereas agile is just about delivering small bits of value incrementally every 2 weeks, every month, every week, whatever, however you want to play it. But it's all about delivery. It's not about discussing delivery. It's about delivering value to your customers. So
Mm.
that was what we've been doing. We've been coaching a lot of organizations, changing the way that they're working, helping them become more agile. And the thing is, I was doing this for a long time, and we were making progress, and I could see that the organizations I worked with were becoming more competitive. But then I looked around and I saw that, okay, most organizations are moving to this now. So what's the next thing? What's the next step? What are the limitations of what I've seen and what I've implemented? And I thought to myself, the real issue was actually you start delivering faster, but then sometimes you're delivering the wrong things. So the question isn't about how to deliver. We are now delivering. It's about what to deliver. I've noticed that some organizations, they are delivering things because the technical team want to play with this bit of technology, or there's a very difficult person who's a product owner or who's a manager or director who says, I just want this. I'm just that sort of person, and I think we need this. And they're really pushy in the meetings, and you say, okay, let's put this to the front of the queue. Okay.
Mm.
And my question is, what about the customer? Where does the customer fit into all of this? We have some meetings, we have regular daily stand-ups, and we say, okay, this is what we did yesterday. This is what we're going to do today. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, but what are you going to do today for the customer? Not just what are you going to do today. There's a difference. And when you get that real sense of purpose and that clarity around customer centricity, you notice that the productivity increases because you stop focusing on vanity metrics, etc. You start focusing on real metrics that are going to help grow your business. And the other thing is, people feel a lot happier, and people want to do more. They know that they've got that customer focus. So if they're coming in with ideas to improve that customer experience and to help build the business, then they know that it's going to be welcome. So overall, the productivity and the general like happiness at work tends to increase. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because you've then got a purpose, haven't you? You're connected to the outside world. You're connected to the person, the user, the buyer, the customer that is actually going to use your product. So then you're leaving a legacy behind rather than just build it and they will come. Building something shiny and exciting, yes, that's great. But if no one ever uses your product, it's a waste of time. And no one who's a creator wants that. So yeah, no, I totally get that. And finding those ways of connecting back in with the customer during a sprint cycle, so that you can keep making sure that it is actually what they want and is going to be useful in a fast changing world, is so important. Otherwise you're dead in the water.
I think so. And Sharon, I have to admit something to you. Maybe like 7, 8 years ago, I started a startup. It was called Taskaway. It was to connect people to tradesmen, like builders and stuff like this. And I created an app. We created an iPhone app, an Android app, and it was working. You could swipe it, you could do everything. This was technically sound. But then actually, I hardly knew anyone in the industry, you know? And actually, me myself, like, I, I didn't know anything actually. I just did the app, and I was very technically it was sound, but actually what we lacked is a customer focus. We lacked the customer focus, and that didn't work. And after that, that was my big learning point. I was like, there's so many people out there who are building these apps that really focus on the technical side, and they're like, oh, how do I resolve this and all this stuff, like, oh, how should I use the cloud? And they're having these conversations,
Yeah.
but it's like, where is the customer? What are you doing for the customer? Yeah. How are you bringing value to them? Yeah. And what are you doing today for the customer? Not overall in general. What are you doing today? Yeah. Because every day we've got to be pushing this. So I learnt the hard way. I spent time and effort on this, and it didn't get anywhere, even though it was technically sound. So I don't want to see other people making the same mistakes. I want people to be creating their customer journeys, looking at customer personas, going into detail to really learn more about their customers. So not just glimpsing over some stats, going into detail and trying to work out why the behavior is like this, connecting the behavior to the outcomes that the business wants. We need to be going into detail because this is definitely a business growth strategy. So I just wanted to mention that, Sharon.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful learning. Not one that I'm sure you particularly enjoyed at the time when you were building it. Yeah, no, I totally get that. It's interesting, the whole piece around how you build something out that actually has a following, actually has a need out there, and the ways that you build it with a proper front end that is user friendly, that is simple enough, and actually has a need out there that customers actually are going to buy. But yeah, you can, exactly as you say, the amount of times I've been in a situation where it's been the loudest, most senior person has shouted that they really want something, and you just think, okay, but how does that work? How does that work with the customer? Like, especially when you do spend a lot of time with the front line, you realize that actually that's not what a customer wants, and the thing that they do really want is just to be able to pay simply, for instance. Yeah. The persona piece is interesting, because the amount of times, I don't know about you, the amount of times I hear, well, the customer doesn't want that, or the customer wants this, and you say, okay, which customer persona? And they go, well, I'm speaking for like all the customers are the same as me. And I'm like, okay, and how many is that? Well, all of our customers. So you kind of get into that bit around, okay, but there are different personalities and personas in this world, which is going to match your customer base. So the only way to go through that properly is to look at your customer personas and break them out and realize that there are going to be some that are very different to you, who need and want very different things. And only by putting a persona name and bringing them to life and stepping into their shoes and then doing the journey mapping from that point of view, are you actually going to understand your different personas, rather than just going, oh, well, they're all like me. It's not like that in the real world.
100%. I love this. For me, I just agree with what you're saying. Yes, I agree. No, I'm trying to add something, but you just said all the good points.
I nailed it today. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
yes, I agree, Sharon.
what was your favourite bit of the book?
My favorite bits. Difficult questions, Sharon. I'll tell you why it's difficult, because since I wrote the book, Um, I only pick it up sometimes and just open it to a random page. So it's hard. It catches me by surprise. I think the part around customer experience leadership, the different qualities of a customer experience leader, I thought that was interesting. I like that bit, and there's a lot of interesting case studies there.
Mm.
Uh, Obviously, the icon framework overall, I think that is it's a good framework, very useful, and there's a lot of case studies in there as well. That's good. So it's hard for me to pinpoint out of those maybe the icon framework, because just for its practicality.
Mm.
I
Yeah, I
think,
really like it. It's really simple and easy to understand. You can read the words and instantly get it.
yeah.
The way that they're laid out and go, okay, I get, there's enough there for me to want to read more, which is really good. So tell me about what's next for you.
What's next for us? So we are launching through CX Centric training, a set of workshops, very specific. So it's not like a general customer experience introduction or masterclass. We're hitting specific areas. For instance, customer experience analysis is one of them. Employee experience for HR leaders is another one. Customer experience coaching. So we have a few interesting courses now available, and we're offering these more to medium and large companies at the moment. And then obviously we're pushing through with the CX centric conversations as well.
There's your
Just
mug.
Yes, and Sharon, like, so if you don't know, guys, the listeners, Sharon, she did the keynote for the last session on employee experience, and that was fantastic. I've had a lot of good feedback about you, Sharon. So
Thank you.
keep up the good work, and yeah, we're pushing on in terms of the customer centric IT teams as well. This is another big one, and supporting organizations who have the ambition to become customer centric and who realize that to retain customers and to grow their business, that customer centricity is a good strategy. So just helping support these organizations, Sharon.
Yeah, key differentiator, right?
Yes,
Exactly as it says in your book. See, I did read it.
exactly. Appreciate that, Sharon. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So thank you for talking to me today. Really appreciated it. Yeah, there's the mug. I know you've got your banking CX conversations coming out really soon. So once I will publish this a lot quicker than you do.
Listen, I'll get yours
I
out. I
will dig it
promise.
there.
I promise you. I promise you. I'll get it out soon.
No, that's cool. Yeah, when I publish this, I'll put a link in there to the banking one because that looks fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. And I thoroughly recommend your book. It is really, really good, really practical, very credible from a very credible author. Look Jonathan up. It's well worth it and buy his book. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
Jonathan.
Okay, bye.